Welcome one and all to another edition of the Devo Show with Luby here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. The rains have been pretty constant the last 2 weeks in my neck of the woods. That's not really the dream for your home or office, but it isn't a nightmare when you know Water Cleanup of Florida is there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's easy. Just call 954-579-0356, 954-579-0356. 0356. Michael, George, Robert, their entire team is there for you with over 60 years of combined experience, plus licensed, certified, insured contractors. They will, believe me, the 24-hour, 7 days a week thing is real. My wife and I had issues with our townhouse. I reached out to them. We were doing mornings at the time, early mornings at the time. Reached out to them, heard back from them, set up an appointment. They came out, checked it, corrected it, and we're able to make it look brand new. They will do the same thing for you. 954-579-0356. Check them out on their website, WCUFL.com. On the socials, at Water Cleanup FL. And Google is all of our friends. It's also your friend in regard to making sure everything I say is true. And it will. With over 80 5-star reviews on Google. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts. Well, the Dolphins have had a lot of guts so far this season. We finally saw some of the schmutz, as it was a back-and-forth affair through most of the first half. Right into half, it slowed down, and in the second half, it was a Bills rout. We had our pigskin playbook with John Congemi this week, and we talked about those Miami Dolphins and where they are right now in the season as they sit at 3-1 after what was a tough start. The Devo Show with Luby here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
One of our favorites joins us every Monday, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. John Congemi.
So everything's going well, guys. It was a crazy game up at Orchard Park.
Yeah.
And, it was one of those things where the Buffalo Bills are still the king of the AFC East.
Yeah.
And they kind of went out there and played it under the radar for most of the week, praising the Dolphins and how good they were in scoring 70 points on a bad Denver defense. And for the most part of the first half, I thought it was an entertaining football game. It was, as you said, Defo, back and forth, and the Bills get the first stop. You get kind of a so-so pass interference call on Kohu covering Diggs, and it leads to an 11-yard touchdown. So now Buffalo's up 7 points, and then you go 4 straight possessions on offense for the Dolphins where they don't do anything. And that seemed like it was a little bit of a separation in the game. You couple that with an injury to Armstead, but you answer, the first drive of the second half, the Dolphins go right down the field, score, not sure why they go for 2, kick the extra point, you're down 10, you feel like you've got momentum.
What was the logic there? I mean, what the math doesn't make sense.
Analytics. I didn't take it in high school. I didn't take it in college. I probably wouldn't have signed up for it.
You find it surprising. I took odds and probability as my.
But as a player, guys, you get deflated when you hear the thud of a mixed extra point or a missed or a block punt. You get the same deflation when you go for 2 when you don't need to and you miss because you're now we're chasing again.
Yeah.
Instead of all right, we're okay. We're okay. We're a 2-score game, touchdown on a field goal, however it comes, we can extend this game on the road in a hostile environment. You don't need to chase. You're a good team. That was my thought anyway. So after the rant, the Dolphins go on. They come out in the second half. They cut the lead to 31-20, and then the Bills answer with a field goal, and you get the 2 interception, and all of a sudden it's the other way. It's going to be bad. Because the defense can't get to Josh Allen. It allows the skill guys for Buffalo to run around a little bit longer, and it's tougher for the secondary to stay plastered on those guys for that long. And it becomes a mini rout in the second half for the Miami Dolphins.
It's funny, too, because, you think back to the so-called narrative before the season started, before opening day. People were talking about the Buffalo Bills. Maybe the window of opportunity is starting to narrow a little bit, that if they don't do it now in a year where they could be fading a little bit, then it's going to be a long time coming again. they looked like garbage in the first week of the season, losing to the New York Jets after the Rodgers injury. I mean, that was just a hapless effort by Josh Allen. He looked bozoic there. And now the next 3 weeks, they look every bit like the team that you have to beat in the AFC East. The Dolphins were right there toe-to-toe with them in that category. I don't know that you can be overwhelmingly upset that they lost this game. Like you were talking about last week on the show, John, you were thinking, hey, 2-2 wouldn't be that bad. 3-1 is certainly all right, with your lone loss being a road game to Buffalo. You've played 3 of these 4 games on the road. I'm with you. I thought, you know what? With that offense, they're not out of it. But
No.
they weren't able to really get it going after that opening drive of the second half. And I'm not sure, that killed them. I mean, when you look at a 28-point loss, the difference between making the extra point and the 2-point conversion try seems, marginal at best. But for the life of me, I mean, the more I thought about that, I was like, why on earth would Mike McDaniel have gone for 2 points there? Just to be down 9, is that much better than being down 10 in an NFL game? I guess if you score 10 points, it puts you in a position to win, but it also puts you in a shot to lose. If you fail there, and they did.
It's almost like you don't want to give the Buffalo Bills and that crowd any reason to cheer. And you kick the extra point, you're down 10. You're just trying to extend the game on the road.
Sure.
Give yourself a chance. Now at home, maybe it flips on the other way because you're going to be more aggressive. You're going to be able to have the crowd on your side. You're going to feed off of that energy. But the Buffalo Bills seemed like they were comfortable playing, that NASCAR type of start, or they were comfortable continuing to do what they were going to do and play, tougher or stingier on defense, kind of crank it up on Tua and that offensive line that was beat up. Connor Williams doesn't start for the Dolphins at center, so you have Liam Eichenberg in there, and it's a tough assignment going on the road in a hostile environment with that crowd noise. And you could tell by listening to Tua after the game, Coach McDaniel after the game, I think, this is just my intuition, there was a lot of guys during the week that played skill positions for the Dolphins on offense that weren't paying attention to some of the nuances of what was being put into the offense during the week in terms of where to line up, where to motion, where to go. And it led to a lot of pre-snap confusion for Tua directing guys where to line up. And now you look at the play clock and it's 6, 5, 4. There's more pressure on the quarterback. There's more pressure on the center to identify, get the snap off, communication. There were a lot of things during that game that led to maybe Tua feeling out of sync. And I think it was a lot of stuff happening around him playing traffic cop that he hasn't had to do for over the first 3 weeks of the season.
Well, and to me, look, I still am a McDaniel fan. I like the guy. I love this offense. I think the defense can get there, but I do have questions to you about that. But it feels like all the gains he made the first few weeks, it feels like he took a major backslide yesterday. It's not the losing. Look, going into the game, as positive people were, I kept saying, look, like going into this season, you're on the road at the Chargers, you're on the road at the Patriots, you're on the road at Buffalo, and then the Broncos were, remember, going into the year, the Broncos are supposed to be better. They got Sean Payton.
Yeah.
2-2 would be cool. 3-1 would be great. I'm not even imagining 4-0. But here's the deal. Buffalo is that team that's had their number, right? And you played them close last year. You can't, to go up to Buffalo and look like that in that second half scared the crap out of me because McDaniel looked like people joke about him, look like an Apple guy. He looked like a guy that had the bully taking his lunch money. And he didn't have any, instead of standing up to him, he cowered in the corner. Like, his play calling was so freaking weird in short yardage situations. I don't know. Look, you explained Jordan Travis to me, so maybe you have an answer. When you don't have Connor Williams and then you don't have Teron Armstead that go 5 wide on 3rd and 1, I don't get what you're doing. Tua's not going to get time to get it to the fucking guys going down the field. And he did it 4 times in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 2nd and 1. He went 5 wide, and I'm like, I don't know enough football to know why this is smart. Because to me, it seemed dumb. The run was working. They were getting 2 and 3 yards a carry. A-Shane looked good. It's like, it felt like last year when he would go away from the run and everyone would be like, what the hell are you doing? And the game was close. Like, they were within striking distance to maybe slow down the Bills, because we know Josh Allen has a propensity to make a mistake, but you got to keep the pressure on them. I don't know. When you're watching, you tell me what I was missing, because his short yardage play calling, I lost it the entire. Even when it was a blowout, I was still like, just do something. And he kept making weird calls time and time again to me.
Yeah, it almost felt like Sean McDermott took a page out of Bill Belichick's defense in New England. The way they kind of played cover two, where they always had two safeties deep, and they played a little bit softer that way to not allow the explosives over the top. But then when it was short yardage, or it was a third and very manageable for the Dolphins, they kind of cranked up the pressure, but they also didn't allow, they changed up free releases for Tua and Waddle. So they always didn't have a free release off the line of scrimmage, which made the timing of going to those guys maybe a little bit off kilter compared to the ease they did it with the first couple of weeks when they were getting to the ball to those guys. I thought early the Dolphins had answers because they went other places. You know, they found Braxton Berrios, they found Durham Smythe. They were able to check the football down. They were able to get the football to other guys in those situations. And I thought Tua did a good job of that. But you're right, Luby. I'm not quite sure what they were trying to get accomplished on third and short, what they couldn't have done on the ground, especially Achane was he was hitting the line of scrimmage with a full head of steam. And it seemed like he was finding those creases again. And Mostert had a rough day, so keep him on the sidelines next to coach for that particular, situation in third and short. Put your rookie out there that's feeling it, for 2 weeks in a row. He had 200 yards on the ground last week, over 100 again this week. So he's got to be doing something right. Feed him the football. There's other ways to slay the cat, right, in those situations. And I give credit to Buffalo. They changed it up a lot, and they won the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. Because early in that game, it wasn't all Allen to Diggs. Buffalo was running the football between the tackles, and it was giving them just enough to keep Miami off balance on defense, where they had to kind of like sit back and catch guys instead of attacking the line of scrimmage.
Allen looked great in the game. I mean, as bad as he was in week number one, he's been terrific. The last 3 weeks, so maybe it was a premature evaluation that he was a shot fighter. Bounced back nicely, and you would have to say then after 4 weeks, I know this was the home field advantage for Buffalo. It's a real tough place to play, and what's up with the people there? Are they just bitter about the endless winter? A friend of mine was on the team bus, the great Stephen J. Gray, who does the, I know you know Steve, and he's quite the gentleman and a character. And he said he has never seen so many middle fingers as when the team bus was pulling out of the parking lot. There are legendary stories about, eggs being thrown, all kinds of stuff happening there, but just a miserable bunch of people there in Buffalo. But it does seem like, at least through the first 4 weeks, if you were going to go ahead and go to the scorecards, you would have to give a slight edge to Buffalo as being, and now they do have the heads-up victory over the Miami Dolphins. There was a lot riding on this ball game. The Dolphins were in a position to kind of steal your lunch. Where
It's funny, guys, because I had the Dolphins at 2-2 after 4 weeks, preseason, looking at the games. Didn't think they'd win on the road against the Chargers. Felt like they wouldn't win on the road against Buffalo, but they would handle New England and Denver at home. I still feel like the Dolphins are in a good spot. I think they're in a really good spot because you have the Giants coming to town, and then they follow that up with the Panthers. That's a good way to get healthy. And it cures a lot of things in all three phases of your game, because rolling it out, putting both helmets on the field, the Dolphins got to be, I would think they have to be almost double-digit favorites, if not 7, 8, 9 points against both of those teams at home. And then it gets a little, the road gets a little bit rockier for the Dolphins, because I know they have Philadelphia on the road, and they also have Kansas City and Germany on the horizon. So it gets a little bit bumpier, but that's a way to get healthy. Now you're 4-2, you're right back on schedule. And the Buffalo Bills, I think they have Philadelphia coming up. They have another division game coming up. They have Kansas City coming up. they play the same teams, and I'm not sure where the Marshmallows are lumped in there for their schedule, but it gets tougher where the Dolphins can get back that confidence they had over the first couple of weeks, and then they can get ready to go on the road and face Philadelphia and go to Germany and face the Kansas City Chiefs.
Philly and Kansas City, you would have to say have to be considered among the top 5, if not among the top 3 teams with San Francisco playing right now. I think you might be able to throw Buffalo in there and maybe even Miami.
Yes,
in
that's
the
your
top
5. That's my top 5. I actually agree with John. I thought the Dolphins would probably be 3-1, but if they were 2-2, it would have made sense. They go on the road to the Chargers, a team that people had a lot of expectations for. They go on the road to the Patriots, a team that was a playoff contender-ish. Yeah, the talent is lacking there, but with Belichick on the road, you never know. They go on the road to the Bills, and they welcome the Broncos home, a Broncos team that added Sean Payton as head coach. So to go 2-2 or 3-1 was going to be a good start. 4-0 seemed like a stretch. My big issue was how they looked. The fact that Mike McDaniel still gets lost in short yardage play calling. Like, you don't always have to chuck it downfield to Hill and Waddle, or go down the field to Durham Smythe or A. Shane. You have, when a team's being aggressive on defense, throw a screen at them. Do a play-action pass, and I get it. Their offensive line was having issues without Connor Williams, and then Terron Armstead, of course, gets hurt in the second quarter. So you were going to have trouble pass blocking. But why chuck it down the field? Doesn't that take longer pass? I don't know. His play calling on short yardage means their run game was actually working okay. A. Shane had over 100 yards again. Like, they were running the ball fine. Why would you, on short yardage, go 5 wide? When you don't have Connor Williams to defend, that means it's going to be a long developing play. Why would you have a long developing play when your offensive line is playing like garbage? And that's something he had gotten better versus in the first 3 games. Like, McDaniel struggled last year, like, with the run. Even though the run's a big part of his scheme, he would fall in love with the pass with all the talent that they have. And it's like, dude, you have the run there, and the run was working. If the run's working, and the game wasn't out of hand yet, it was a 1 or 2 score game where the Dolphins had a shot to stay in it. And that's all you need to do is stay in it. Look, they almost beat Buffalo in the playoffs with Skylar Thompson just by staying in it. Josh Allen, however good he is, he has propensity to have turnovers. Not when things are rolling. You got to keep the game close. You keep the game close, keep the game tight. Fangio starts blitzing. It loosens things up. And then maybe you get a turnover. Maybe you have a chance. When the game was tight, McDaniel went for it. He went for a 2-point conversion like we were talking about, which made 0 sense. The stuff he hadn't done in the first 3 games that he did a lot last year that pissed people off, he did in this game. Buffalo is a great team. Really good team trying to win a Super Bowl. Okay, and that's what the Dolphins are. The Dolphins are a really good team trying to win a Super Bowl. It's like Mike McDaniel is still the rookie head coach who's trying to prove himself. Dude, you have a lot of talent. You have a really good team. Stop proving yourself and just coach. He got cute. The same thing Deef always says don't do. He did it again, going for 2 for no fucking reason. And on short yardage, 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2. Going 5 wide, going with these. Throw a screen. Like, you have A. Shane who's playing really well. You have Mostert. Yeah, Mostert struggled with fumbles, but come on. Like, do a reverse. You have Tyreek Hill. Do a quick slant. Like, the play calls he was calling in those situations were freaking weird. Look, the Bills are a good team. You're on the road. If the Bills lose this game, they're in trouble. They're now 2-2 and 2 games behind the Dolphins who are 4-0. They were desperate. They needed this game. The Dolphins weren't. I'd rather them still find a way to win those games they don't need. But losing, I could see. It was how they lost. It was the fact that it got away from them. It went from being a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, out of half. They went and got it got to 17. Out of half, they went and made it. It should have made it 10. Went for that stupid-ass 2-pointer. So it was 11. But they went and made it 11. It felt like, okay, it's still a game. They had a chance to do something. And they held the Bills to a field goal. It was a 2-score game, 2-touchdown game. They had a short yardage situation, and that was the end of it. He called a bad play. It ended up being a fumble instead of punting, which was already going to be bad enough. It ended up being a fumble, and the Bills went in and scored. And that was the end of the game. And that was on McDaniel. Look, your offensive line has issues. You have to call plays accordingly. Get the ball out of your quarterback's hand quickly. Try and run the ball away from the aggressiveness of the defense. And he didn't do it. And he said he has to learn. Okay, I get it. It's only, and that's the problem. That's the thing that sucks about McDaniel. He is young, and it is year 2. So he's going to have a learning curve. The problem is this isn't Houston Texans team and your DeMeco Ryans where there's no expectations and you have a rookie quarterback. This is a quarterback in his 4th year. This is a franchise that is loaded with talent that is trying to make and win a Super Bowl. That's the goal of this team. And he's learning on the job. Learning on the job with that sort of sucks. It's frustrating because it's okay to learn on the job when you're a team that's supposed to lose. When you're a team that is trying to win a ring, learning on the job is tough. And that's the problem with the defense. It's a new scheme with Fangio. He is a great defensive mind. They have a lot of talent. I think eventually they'll figure it out. But they're learning in the season. Like, their defense has not looked good. Yes, it's been opportunistic and got turnovers, which has allowed them to win 3 games. But the Chargers, they got rolled. The Patriots in the 4th quarter, it was a disaster. And the Patriots moved the ball decently in that game. And the Broncos, ended up being 70-20. But in that first half, the Broncos had a chance to maybe make it not only a 1-score game, I think they had a chance to tie it or take a lead. Like, the defense let the Broncos move the ball at will in that first half. They just were opportunistic with turnovers, which is great, but you can't always count on that. And that's the scary thing is, I think Fangio's great defensive mind. And of course, the defense has lots of talent. So I think they'll figure it out. But they're learning it on the job. But here's the reality. It's what John says. They're 3-1. And they have the Giants, who just got demolished on Monday night by an okay Seahawks team. And Daniel Jones looks like the guy that should not have gotten that contract. They have the Panthers, who have a rookie quarterback who they are not looking great right now, in a row. And it's at home. Okay, so if you can just play your game and win those games, everything's fine. And I don't think the sky's falling. I don't think the Dolphins are as great as they looked in 70-20 against the Broncos and as bad as they looked in 48-20 against the Bills. I think they're in the middle somewhere. I think they are a top 5 team. But they do have issues that, if not corrected, could be a problem. Mike McDaniel has to stop trying to be Brandon fucking Staley, okay? Brandon Staley's going to lose his job. He has no idea what he's doing. Don't be that. You clearly know what you're doing. You're clearly a bright dude. You clearly were growing the first 3 games. Keep that trajectory. Don't switch back to last year when you forget the run existed. You have a tight game where your offensive line's struggling, your defense is struggling. Keep your offense on the field, one. Don't chuck it. You don't need the big play all the time. You need to keep the ball moving. You need to keep the drive going, keep your defense on the sideline, and give your offensive line some help. Get rid of the ball quickly from Tua. Run the ball against the aggressiveness of a defense. And he didn't do it. I'm sure he knows he didn't do it, and he got in the weeds, and he got in the game, and the Buffalo, the big foe that's annihilated the Dolphins the last few years, was sitting there in Orchard Park, and he didn't know. You can't do that. This is a good team. Stop proving yourself. Don't have to prove shit. Your team will prove it for you, okay? Just coach. Yes, we want creativity. Yes, we want ingenuity. Yes, we want to be fun. But sometimes just do the smart thing. It's okay once in a while to do the smart thing. We try. I don't know how often we do the smart thing here, but we try. Check us out in the mornings on South Florida Live from 8 to 9:45 each and every Monday through Friday on YouTube or Facebook, The Defo Show with Luby. Check us out. Our new venture, we're doing some stuff with nofilter.net, nofilter.net. Still around Believe. I had a really cool and fun conversation with Ed Begley Jr. Yes, that Ed Begley Jr., Hollywood star, activist, author, has a new book out. Check that out on the Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. And here with the South Florida content, The Defo Show with Luby on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.